There we go. So I know on it says fall prevention, emergency dialers, and lock boxes, but Sandy and I got to talking. It may be a whole lot for one thing, so we'll go over emergency dialers and lock boxes, and then if there's time, otherwise, if it's not time, we'll push fall prevention to next month. I mean, they're all very important ones, and I want to make sure we get enough attention. Cal's taking care of that right now. He read your mind. Sandy printed out like 30 of them. I know somebody upstairs. So last month when we were talking about house numbers and it was brought up, well, what if we fall and can't get up to the door? And we, both Dee and I both said, well, they'll get in there. And then of course Lee mentioned the Knox box rather it's called, like Fort Knox, which our building has one and the fire department has a key to be able to get into it. Well, I guess we're not going to have, oh, okay. So, towards the back of this is the key lock boxes. Talking to the fire department, you can get it through the hardware store or through Amazon. Hardware store, these lock boxes are rather expensive, at least the one here in town, it was like $40. And getting a Knox box through the fire department is a little cost prohibitive. They'll do it for a commercial for a residential, but Dean O'Neill, Deputy Chief O'Neill said, just buy one of these. He's got one on his own house and get the combination either to the fire department or to dispatch directly so that they have it in their system. And you can get simple ones. There's wall mount. I've got 3 different types of them here. I looked up on Amazon. And, any 20, 30 bucks. Some of them are just go on a doorknob like what your realtors do, or you can have it hard mounted on it. But actually the deputy chief, he has one on his own house only because he has pets. Well, what if he's not home and then there's an emergency? They need to get into the pets. So anyway, it's a real good idea. And like I said, I just did a quick search and found 3 different looking ones. There's a second one, it looks like a digital keypad. The only thing I don't like about those is they're battery operated. And unless you remember to keep your batteries current, that may be an issue. I like the mechanical. So they have the mechanical one that hangs on the doorknob on the last page, and then the first one was that you can see it's a mechanical combination, and the front just slides open. So highly recommend one of those. And it's funny, through these trainings and questions and everything, things I never thought of, I need one of these at my house. So then we talked about falling last time, and what if I can't get up? Well, what if you're not near your phone or you're out in the yard or something like that? And some emergency dialers, for some people, are very cost prohibitive because you've got to pay a service. I mean, yeah, it might be $30 to buy the physical unit that you push, but then you got to pay $50 or $60 a month to a service. Some people like that peace of mind, but there are ones for just at home. I did this for my mother-in-law years ago. On page 9 in here, actually I just ordered one of these from my mom. The unit itself is about $100. But what's nice, in this one, you can program up to 30 phone numbers. So if one doesn't answer, it goes to the next one, it goes to the next one, next one. And reading up on some of the, on Amazon always has reviews and things like that. And one guy pointed out, he put his home phone or maybe his office phone and then his cell phone. And if neither one of those answered, then it called 911. So it might be better, for, that person to hit that button and it calls you. And then it seems like it prods the person that receives the call to acknowledge the call, and it tells them to hit 0 or hit 5, whatever, it depends on the brand. And then they can communicate with you and see whether it's an emergency, but does it need 911 or not? So really like that one, but the only problem is that's just at home in your residence, and it goes like 100, 150 feet. The ones that are run by services, those are pretty much anywhere you are. They'll have GPS tracking and all different things on them. So, but the very first one on page 8, I stumbled across that one, that 911 Help Now. There's no fees. It costs $90 for the unit, but what it does is it hits your local dispatch, and you can actually communicate with them through this pendant. But let's say you're incapacitated enough that you can't speak for some reason. It's got a GPS for them, so it will pull them to your location. So those are the different types. I just went through Amazon looking, and of course you can find a multitude of different types, but I really like that one, that 911 Help Now. And I'm pretty sure though, you've got to have, for it to communicate, you got to be where cellular service is. So that would make sense. It's a Wi-Fi or cellular service. So that's out where I live, that wouldn't work because we've got these big, tall granite piles between us and the antennas, and we don't get much service. So the one from my mom at home, that emergency dial, it goes right into a landline. So it's hardwired into a landline, and I can program in my phone number first, and if it doesn't get it, then it'll go directly to 911. So I kind of like that one-time fee, just buying it. And any questions on those? And if there's other topics as we're doing these, because just like out of last month, some of the questions, a lot of times by the end of the month, I don't know what I'm going to do the next month. And just the questions that you guys gave me made me think about what needed to be next, or if there's other topics that you'd like to see covered, because I'm sure there's a lot of different things. Well, we covered that pretty quick, not many questions. Fall safety. I'm going to have to just get away from it. In home, some of the biggest things are rug runners, things like that. And I've gotten a few things. For one, for nice area rugs, they got these nice stick-on corner tab things that will strengthen the corners to where they won't roll up. Another thing you can get is carpet tape for tacking them down.
Where do you get that?
Well, my favorite store was Amazon. Okay. This is where I got it. But there's different kinds of double stick tape and carpet tape. You can get it at the hardware store or at my favorite store, Amazon, that I bought, so that you can stick them. And these are sticky enough, like we've got rugs in areas, and then we got runners on top of them. And then we've got hardwood floors in other areas. But this stuff will at least stick it down to where they're not going to move. Cords. Electrical cords is a huge trip issue, and you can buy those cord protectors. They're long, flat, and they're in a roll, and they have double stick tape to stick. So if you have to have something going across the floor, do it. Assistance devices. A lot of people have a stigma about a cane, a simple cane. And yeah, okay, but it's a good tool. I know I walk for mom's treatments over at the hospital, And the security guard, do you have any weapons? And I always point to my mom with it. And I said, well, her and her cane's my only weapon I'm walking in with. But you know, I mean, where we live with uneven terrain and everything, you know, I mean, you have all different kinds. You got cool walking sticks. I got my big wooden one. I was carrying this downtown Denver going to a thing at the convention center, and some of the less than favorables on the sidewalk just kind of looked at me like, oh, nice stick. And they just kind of, well, yes, it is. It sent a message, but it's, after I started having back surgeries and having problems with stability, I just try and use as much as I can, you know, and give it some personality. I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be a stigma about it. Have something that makes you feel good, you know. You can swagger as you stagger, you know. So, I mean, I've even, for hunting, I put a mount on here for laying my rifle across, you know. So I've kind of did a whole bunch of different types. Make sure in the home, having grabbers, there's all kinds of different kind of grabbers, you know, for one, so when you're leaning over, when you have hypertension and things like that, sometimes bending over and coming back up, you get dizzy easier. Try and prevent it as much as you can. And it's also, you can reach up higher at things. And there's all different kinds of them that we use. For outside, this time of year, well, yeah, Mom picks up her dog toys with them. She also uses them for getting the stuff out of the bottom of the washing machine. So really, really handy to have. Outside this time of year with all the ice and stuff, I would always see people with these ice cleat things on, and I'm like, I'm too macho for that. I grew up in Colorado, and I've hunted and camped all my life, and then I fell out here when I was clearing snow a couple weeks ago, so. They're worth it. You can get them. My newest pair, these are dry rotted because they were hanging in my barn. I bought them years ago for ice fishing, but they dry rotted since. I got a new pair for like $17 off of Amazon. And look at different types that makes it easier to slip on. Ice cleats. Yeah. Yeah, that's the best thing to search on Amazon, something like ice cleats.
Just in a parking lot, something like that is what you want. That's not what you want if you're hiking in the snow, because those are more like razor blades coming out of the bottom. But these are great for walking across a parking lot. Okay. And then you just pull them on, pull them off.
They have the other ones, yak tracks or something like that they're coiled wire. They break and they get loaded up with snow. And so then you just have little icicles on the bottom of your feet. I really recommend something. Now these ones I first put on, they were still the ones that were good. And you notice there's only one set, so it just does the ball of your foot. Well, when you're walking downhill, where do you put your weight first? So there was nothing on my heel, so I almost biffed it up here in the upper parking lot. So definitely want heel and toe on them.
The only downside to those is concrete. If you go across a driveway or sidewalk or something, you're going to slip more.
Some are more aggressive than others and everything. Yeah, you got to, and you know, so you might get in trouble if you walk in your house and. Actually, my chiropractor, he's got really nice granite floors when he first goes in his house, and he had these on. Here, Mr. Chiropractor's supposed to be so smart, and he's like, well, you dummy. You know, so yeah, I mean, there are downsides to these things. So, yeah, well, yeah, and when your mother works on your hardwood floors, you might get in trouble wearing them in.
I was told if you're walking down a ramp or an incline or a slight hill, even if you have this kind of stuff up, walk like a penguin, follow the foot, not the heel, and just remember that when you're going down and just little steps.
Yeah, shorten your steps. But like I said, well, if I would have been penguin walking, this one might have been okay. But my brain doesn't work that quick. I'm a slow learner, so I'd rather have the heel and toe. And additionally, I've got 6 or 8 additional flyers on checklists to go through your home, on looking at things, how to keep yourself more independent with issues of falling. Also, if you're a caregiver, things to consider. So I've got a lot of good information out there, different flyers. I've got individual ones put out, but then on the left side, about a half a dozen of them I've grouped together the whole packet. So, but yes. Yes, June and Rusty are looking at putting together a balance class here at the church. Rusty does, so much different exercise. We know that, the Energizer Bunny, but she's been in, Tai Chi and yoga and ballet and everything. And then June being a physical therapist and everything. So they're going to put together a stability class. I know one of the flyers I have out there is for helping with stability is a simple chair exercise, things that you can work on at home. And then I got ones on dealing with hypertension. Biggest thing is also that I was reading in there is your medications. Talk to your doctors. Some medications make you a little off. And sometimes they make you too off that maybe there's a different combination they need to give you. But if you do fall, communicate that with your doctor. Because maybe you think you didn't get hurt. But, as you get older and you're taking blood thinners and things like that, a simple fall and bump on the head could cause a subdermal hematoma, which is, we know is concussions and such, and sometimes they don't go away like they do for athletes quite so fast. So it's worth it to get checked out. And problem is, once you've fallen, it makes you more afraid of falling. And so it's more important to talk to your doctor and work through some of these plans so that you're not limiting quality of life, that you're still able to do things. It's each new skill, or I call them tools. Since with all my back surgeries, I've got to use so many tools. It sounds cooler for a guy to call them a tool. So I don't know, you guys call them what you want. But even someone helping you is a tool. But be receptive to a tool to where you still have good life. You're still getting out. You're still able to do things. Maybe you got to do it a little differently. But yes, sir.
That's one thing I use more than I prefer because of the environmental stuff, but ice melt. Most people have shadows around their front doors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of snow, it warms up, it melts. A little bit of the ice melt stuff goes a long way to
Yeah, those.
get rid of the black ice spots.
The north, well, look at what we fight out here all the time, having that ice melt. Or you can, halfway down the pass down here is that sand and gravel company, and they sell sand and salt mix, which we buy for the church. And I think it's relatively inexpensive. And I don't think that that's quite as corrosive. Some of that ice melt, it's not bad on blacktop, but on concrete, it'll eat the surface of it all. So if you have to put it on there, once the ice conditions are gone, make sure you sweep them off, that it doesn't stay there too long. Yeah. But yeah, north side is a constant battle. I mean, Mom's entrance to our house is out the north side. So first thing I do is I get out there, and as long as you get it down to the pavement, and it doesn't warm up because the sun never hits it. So the wind takes care of the rest of it for you and everything. But then you have something like this hill. I just learned this week, after clearing snow and everything, and I had it all clear, and then all of a sudden there was more ice. We've got moisture coming up through the blacktop from an underground artesian well, Jim was telling me. So it's like, it's a constant battle. But I guess it's being cognizant of it, though, and aware that, thinking about it, and if you fall, hopefully it doesn't make you too scared, but it makes you smarter. So, Any questions? Okay. If you guys have any requests or ideas for future topics, I've not gotten together with Uprad yet, but I'd like to come up with something with him. Tiny over there is willing to come in and do some training, but we need to come up with a most favored topic. He might have something on mind anyway, but if you guys think of anything, make sure you communicate with me, and if you see a need or a question or something, I'll look into it and get as much information as I can. You're welcome. But yeah, don't forget to look on the counter over there on the other side of the narthex. I got all those flyers.